what's up, everybody?
Yeah, you said what's up.
I already messed it up in the first one. Thank you guys for being here today. This is the third of 3 episodes, and so we're very grateful for our gracious host or guest today for hanging in there with us. We're going to introduce him in a minute, but I want to start by saying if you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe. Jim, where can they find us now?
Oh my gosh, you keep asking me that 3 times today.
I'm hoping he's gonna.
But hey, we're on Spotify, which is awesome. We're on YouTube, which is normal for our viewers to watch and actually see us. And we're now actually being aired on CMAC out of Fresno, California. So,
sounds like a rapper, huh?
Right?
CMAC. I'm gonna go see CMAC in concert. No, CMAC is a nonprofit, and they do wonderful work, and they offer opportunities for local residents, especially our youth, to create their own podcast, their own show, any sort of content that they'd like to do that works around cameras and editing and microphones. Jim actually took his class for a field trip. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. And it just always gets me excited being around production stuff. In the 27 years of being in television, man. It was norm to be around that environment. But for the kids, it was really an exciting event for them to actually hands-on touch the equipment.
Yeah.
It's funded by some really powerful grants that they apply for and get, and you could sign up to be a member, which is pretty reasonable. Any donations are accepted.
We're going to put that link, by the way, for CMAC.
It's several people that I've co-worked with have came in and volunteered their expertise in there. So, in fact, I'm thinking about next year possibly getting in another relationship with them with my students, so we could go there at least once a week.
That would be awesome for you guys, especially as a digital creator and a teacher. Jim actually does all this like with our youth, our kids, and trains them all. They have like a podcast room. I've been to his classroom. It looks like a studio. So thank you for all the work you're doing with our youngsters. No problem.
I love it.
So he's creating that next future of generation.
Speaking of electronics.
Yeah,
we got something fun.
Our guest today is none other than a friend. Are we friends?
Yes, we're
okay.
We're family.
Yeah, we're family, right? Mr. Paul Gonzalez with an S at the end.
With an S, yeah.
Paul Gonzalez. So we go way back. Paul, we first met as part of Reestablishing Stratford, which is a nonprofit that serves the community of Stratford, California. And you came on as our treasurer. And I think you've been our treasurer the whole time, right?
Yeah, I think.
What year did you get involved in our work with that nonprofit?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Year 3?
Something like that.
So you've been around 7-8 years.
Yeah, because we came to an event. I actually owned a barbershop in Hanford, and we came to an event to do free haircuts. And my son said, "Oh, I know Mr. I."
So that's when it started?
I said, "Who's Mr. I?"
Yeah, who's that guy?
Yeah.
But I remember you had a barbershop academy.
Yes.
And we're going to touch up on that a little bit because I thought that was a great idea. But I want to start by identifying, just giving everybody kind of an overview of Paul and his body of work. And so, if anything, if I had to sum it all up, master communicator. Is that fair?
That's fair. I thought you were gonna say I was on all the boards.
Oh no, we're gonna talk about that. Well, I got to take my shot, so that'll happen later. But we're gonna start from the beginning, Paul. I believe you started your journey as a living human being in Susanville. Is it Susanville?
Well, actually, I was born in Pomona, California.
Oh, man, you're all over the place.
And then when I was 10, my dad, he worked for Department of Corrections. He grew up in gangs down there, and he wanted to make sure that we didn't, so he moved us to he worked for the prison. The furthest prison north was Susanville at the time. So I grew up in Susanville, California, Northern California.
Shout out to Susanville if you've ever been out there. Yeah. Give us some surrounding cities if we don't know Susanville.
Redding, Chico.
Okay, yeah, Chico
Reno.
State.
We were by Reno. We were in California.
Reno. How long of the drive is it from Susanville to Reno?
It's about 70 miles, so about an hour and a half.
So was that something that the kids did on the weekends? They'd go out to Reno and party and come back, like teenagers?
Reno and Chico.
Oh yeah. I mean, Chico, right?
Yeah.
Jim, have you been out to Chico?
Where's Chico?
Chico State.
No.
Chico State?
It's not a place. I know of it. Yeah, we have some students that are in FFA. They have a big FFA program over there.
They do?
Yeah.
So I've always known Chico, and I don't know if you grew up, it was Party Central.
Pioneer
right?
days.
No, no.
Like the number one party.
I would never
school.
go way out there just to party. I got fields and mountains behind us.
No, you're right. Jim's got the party spot here. But so raised in Susanville, what was that like?
You know what? when I was 10, I mean, I was young, but I was kind of frustrated to move away from my friends. But you know what? I grew up. They were great people. They're, you know, even though I haven't talked to some of them in a long time, when we do talk, it's like we're family. Like we don't miss a beat. It was just,
do you still have some high school friends you're in touch
yeah,
with?
yes. In fact, there's a couple that have moved down here that I'm really close with. Our families were close. They grew up, you know, we grew up together.
Do you ever go back to Susanville?
I haven't been there in 10 years.
What kind of population? 10, 15,000?
When we moved there, it was like 10,000 for Susanville. We actually lived 15 miles away in Janesville, which was about 2,500.
Susansville, Janesville.
Yeah.
Is there a Marysville nearby?
Marysville's in by Sacramento.
Now, when you were there, of course, you went to all your high school years were there.
Mm-hmm.
Me, Jim and I were both high school educators, so we always like to figure out who were you in high school? Were you the go-getter? Were you the class clown? Who were you?
Well, I went to Lassen High School first of all. I was the only high school up there, and so, but I played sports. But I was kind of like I am now. I get along with everybody, whether it was the kids who got in trouble, the kids who got good grades, the kids who played sports. I got along with everybody.
Did you have your own crew, like your friend group?
I had different sets of friends because they didn't all get along. Some of the ones that played sports didn't necessarily get along with the ones that would get in trouble.
But you hung out with both.
I hung out with both of them.
So I always wonder about this. Jim, chime in because you may have the same situation. Because I knew of Jim in high school because there were some girls at my school who had a crush on him and would talk about him incessantly. But I didn't know him personally. You knew him from afar. And so I want to ask both of you this because I grew up and you had one friend group. And that was your crew. And then you guys went to lunch together. You guys hung out together, right? I wasn't kind of jumping friend groups. And so how does this work in high school? Do you end up going with a different group every day to lunch? Or when you have multiple friend groups? Or there's a friend group that you hang out with at school and then after school it's someone else?
I kind of just hit and miss. I had a couple of real good friends that I hung out with most of the time at lunch. But I'd go to different places with depending on what group they had. If somebody asked me to go, I usually had no problem and go hang out with them. And remember, in the little city of Susanville, they had little cities. They had Janesville, Johnstonville, so little cities surrounding. And since I was an athlete and played sports, most of the sports were played in Susanville. So I knew a lot of the kids from other schools because of sports. Yeah.
And Jim? Did you hang out with the same crew for lunch, or what'd you do?
No, I was all over the place like Paul. I was,
Okay, so how's that work?
Athletics, I would hang out with them. It all just
in season, and then you just disappear.
No, not in season. I mean, I was a band kid too, so I hung out with the nerds at the same time with the jocks.
Let me be very specific. It's lunchtime at Orosi High School, right?
It's like, hey, what are we doing for lunch?
Who you asking? You asking the bands or the jocks?
Whoever I'm around at that time.
See, that just does not work for me. That's like,
so it's like,
I need some stability.
The band kids have a bunch of pizza and they're going to practice. That's where I'm going for lunch, right?
But do your other friends like, where's Jim?
No, they don't.
Oh, he's playing Trump. Like, were they confused by this whole mixing?
No, we were in love with each other. We didn't care. It's like, hey, we'll see you there. We see you down.
And see, this is what I had much deeper friendships, which meant, and I don't like this about today's society. It's the friendship thing is too loosey goosey. It's like if I see you, I see you. If I don't, I don't. Right? Well, to me, that's more of an acquaintance. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you still have your top five, right? You still have your 5 boys.
So where are those guys at lunch? Why aren't you with them?
And all of those boys were in different groups. We weren't all jocks. We weren't all bannies. We weren't all skaters. We skated. So everybody, in high school was like, hey, you got a board? You riding? Let's go to the R&N. Yeah,
so we don't go. Jesse said he had a skateboard.
Yeah, we would all do that. So sometimes girlfriends got in the way, so they're like, I want to be with my girl,
man.
right?
Hey, high schoolers, let me tell you right now, and I've talked to so many different high schoolers. I've been teaching for 20 years. Part of that's been high school gym. Paul, maybe you can attest to this. If you're going to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or partner in high school, do not dedicate all 4 years to spending every waking moment with them, right? Balance it out. Am I right on this? Yep. Some days you go to lunch with your friends. Some days you go to lunch with your significant other. And on the weekends, sometimes you're with them, sometimes with your friends. But when you completely abandon your friend group and you're dating so-and-so, once that doesn't work out, right, now you're crawling back with your tail between your legs and nobody knows you anymore because they haven't seen you in 6 months. To me, that's a huge mistake, and you see it happen all the time. Girlfriends and boyfriends break up, and now the friend group has moved on.
Yeah.
And you've missed all these memories and things with them. I was going to ask Jim how he balanced it out, but Jim told me earlier that he didn't have a real serious relationship in high school, right? Paul, what about you?
I had a couple of serious relationships in high school, but I still hung out with my friends. I went out.
You balanced it. How did you know better?
Well, I didn't always know better. Sometimes there were spurts where I would just hang out with my girlfriend, and then you kind of drift from your friends because they're like, he's doing his own thing.
Yeah, he's with this.
Yeah.
Because I know you had a really good friend, Andy Bueno, right?
Yeah.
And he then he met his wife in high school.
Well, yeah, all of us. Yeah, she Maria.
So Andy spent a lot of time
with her.
Maria,
Yeah,
and he's one of your close friends, so it's kind of balance it out.
Yeah, Jesse as well. Chuck and Albino and Renato. Like there was a whole bunch of us, but some of them had girls at the time. Stuart, yeah. And sometimes the girls did their thing, and
so lunch.
I don't even
for
think
you.
it's funny because now looking back, it's like it's no big deal. I bet you if we dropped back into high school, we would do the same thing. Like we wouldn't change.
So Jim is just like crapshoot. I don't know. I might be with Johnny today. I might be with Ricky, Mike, Bobby, Ralph.
A lot of us know where to stand. The seniors would stand in one area. You know, we would
we
hang out.
could text each other.
Yeah, no, you
like
couldn't.
how did you find your friends?
You just walk up and say, "Hey, what's up, man?" You know, and sometimes some guys are playing dice down the gambling and doing whatever they're doing, and we just
dice.
We just play dice all the time.
So getting back to Susanville, you get in high school, you're involved in sports, but you're well balanced. You're hanging out with a lot of different people. I think this is going to premise how you end up becoming in terms of like all these different groups that you socialize with. But I remember you telling me a story. We were in Sacramento. I went with Paul to Sacramento. We went to some state offices to help with Stratford. And along the way, as we're walking, you're telling me the story, and you said, man, with baseball, I kind of dropped the ball, no pun intended. Tell us that story.
So when I played sports, I was always pretty good at sports, and I like wrestled. I played baseball, and the problem was I also partied. Especially when I got to my senior year, I really partied. So I didn't play.
You balanced.
I didn't play any sports, which your senior year is
you
your best.
dropped all sports your
because
senior year.
I partied, and I did most of my units, freshman, sophomore, and junior years. So my senior year, I had no first period, so I go in late. Second period, I had PE. Third period was teachers aid, TA.
This man remembers his high school schedule.
Well, because
can you tell me yours?
Which year?
This is impressive.
This is your senior year.
Well, my senior year.
You know your senior year schedule?
So I know I had 3 periods, and then
how do you guys do
no,
this?
No. I had 3 periods, but then we had 6 periods, right?
6 or 7.
Yeah, so a 6. So 2 of my periods were important. I don't even know what they were, but I had 4 woodshop classes in one day. I took all my AP classes. I took all my stuff out of the way. And in my last 4 years, we didn't have off campus
opportunities.
No, what's it called? A job experience or
work
whatever.
experience.
Yeah,
ROP.
we didn't have that. We didn't have that. So
So you had 4
woodshop periods. Back
Same
to back.
teacher.
Same teacher, all 4, and I built that foosball table that's downstairs. That was
you
my
should have
senior
built
project.
a pyramid by the time.
I built things and sold them. I built entertainment centers. I built tables.
And the woodshop teacher, was he like?
He was my activities director too. So
so he was like, hey, Jim.
Shout out to Jeff. Shout out to Jeff Brown. He was actually
Jeff Brown. Is Jeff still teaching?
It's a good question.
Jeff, thank you for dealing with Jim for 4 periods a day for an entire year.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Oh my God.
So and then right across from us, Paul, I don't know, we had an auto shop less than 100 feet away. So Chuck, all my buddies that had cars, we were lowering them, putting stereos in them. So school was literally not school. It was a playground. Yeah. Like we did not. It was
your senior year.
My senior year, yeah.
And my senior year, after lunch, we had work experience, so I was done after lunch. So I mean, the only class I actually had during my senior was I had civics, because you had to take civics. You couldn't take it to your senior year, and then it was something else the other half of the year.
Oh yes, is it like econ and government kind of?
Yeah.
So you played sports your whole life, and then just dropped it as a senior and didn't miss a beat.
Because I learned that I thought partying at the time was more fun, and I have to worry about practice and.
That fascinates me, that because my sons are kind of the same way. Like started at 7, 8 years old, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to play anymore. what? Like, and the reason and let me this is my argument, right? So Jim, let's use your daughter as an example, tennis player, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say she started at 7 or 8 years old, right? And so she's playing tennis all that time, and each year slowly improving. The pinnacle of that, of watching that come to light and be her best, right, happens in that junior or senior year when she's a varsity player.
Yeah.
And the lesson there is like, hey, you stick with something long enough, right? You start to, separate yourself from the group. And so that was a lesson I wanted to share with my own children is that, hey, pick that thing that you enjoy and then continue it, but allow it to blossom. Because if I stopped early and I said, yeah, no, I'm done freshman year, I didn't get any better, right? Well, those growth years, you didn't get to see the beginning and end. But then there's also the argument that I just didn't enjoy it anymore.
Well, you know what I think, though, too, is so you're right. My senior year, you would have been my best year. At the time, I was like, I'm not going to go to college. I'm just going to work, make some money. But the other thing is, a lot of times people shut your dreams down, and then you stop believing. So I wanted to play professional baseball at one time, and then I'm like, people are like, that's really not realistic. You're not going to. And so you thought, well, after my
they pulled a Rudy on you.
After my senior year, if I'm not going to go to college, it doesn't matter. So what does it even matter if I play or not? And then later on, when you realize that people steal your dreams sometimes, and I tell we do this to our kids, right? We tell them when they're good athletes. I had a son who, when he was 17, I took him to try out for the San Jose Earthquakes, and he did really well. And he would have probably played, but then I started saying, well, only 1% of the kids even make professional. Why would you even? So you need to get a job, you need to go to school. So at that time, they start believing, why am I going to do this when I'm really not going to make it anyways? So I think you need to just keep believing in yourself and believing in your dream if that's what you're going to do. And if you don't do it, at least you can say, hey, you know what? I put everything into it and it didn't work for me. But rather than say, now I look back and go, what if nothing else, maybe I'd have got a scholarship to college. I'm sure I probably would have.
Yeah.
And maybe went on to college. I did some college and stuff, but so I think that's a big thing is you just got to, like you said, believe in yourself. Don't give up on your dreams. And
a couple people sprinkled some doubt in there for you.
Oh yeah.
Wow. It's reminiscent of, what's the movie called? Pursuit of Happiness. You remember that movie? Mm-hmm. There's this scene, and it's actually Will Smith acting with his own biological son, Jaden Smith, and Jaden in this scene is shooting baskets, right? And his dad says, yeah, you know what? Stop doing that. He's like, well, what do you mean? Because he carried his basketball everywhere. That was his dream. He's like, nah, dude, you know what? I'm not very good. You're probably not going to be any better than you are now. So you know what? Let's just let that go. Let's move on to something else. And then Jaden, being young and impressionable, probably 7, 8 at the time, he throws the basketball against the fence and walks away. Right? His dad's like, hey, come here. And now he's confused. Like, did I do something wrong? He goes, don't you ever let anybody steal your dream, not even me. Mm-hmm. Because many times it's the people closest to us that are inadvertently, they're trying to protect us from disappointment. Hey, you know what, Rob, you and Jim, you got a cool thing there, right? Yeah. But you know what, why don't you leave it as a hobby? Mm-hmm. Because, if you're trying to go higher than that, right, there's a lot of podcasts. And so just have fun with it. Don't expect too much. And, if something happened, right? And I understand that. And I've heard that multiple times from different people in my life. And I know what they're doing. They're trying to protect me from disappointment. But inadvertently, what are they doing?
They're stealing your dreams. And think about it like this, Rob. All of us, when we're little, what do we want to do? We want to be a policeman, or we want to be a professional baseball player. We want to be a CEO of a big company. We want to live by the beach. And then as we start to get older, the world tells us, people all around us, whether they love us or the haters, both of them tell you, hey, just get a good job, make some money, buy a house, get married, live happily ever after. We know that's not the case. But they take our dreams, and then we don't believe in ourselves. And when we lose belief in ourselves, that's when, of course, we don't get to where we want to go.
Man, it's hard. So I think that our job now that we know better, right, is to feed those dreams. Yeah. Like, hey, you can be, here's how I kind of do it now. Jim, tell me if you agree with this. I say, hey, go after that dream, but understand the price tag. Right? You want to be an MLB player? That's great. But guess what? I want to see MLB effort. work. I'll support it. You want to be in the batting cage, 3 times a week? Cool. You want to hit the gym in the off season? Cool. But don't come to me with this big dream and then not want to put the work in. Because then that's where I start to go, hey, maybe we need to go in a different direction because you don't seem willing to pay the price. And that's the thing I think a lot of kids need to understand is there's a price to be paid. We had a guy on here right in there where you're sitting right there on the couch, Dr. Jonathan Hernandez, right? A couple hours ago, and he was saying, everybody's like, hey, I'm a speaker. Well, you're a speaker because you said you are or because you put in the work? You've gotten on stage, you've tried to book everywhere. You've tried to hone your skill, your craft, or did you just kind of like, hey, I know how to speak in front of a group and I'm a speaker. Mm-hmm. You gotta be willing to pay the price. So I think if anything, let's educate our kids on the price. And if they want to pay it, I'll ride with you.
Well, when you say price, price sounds like financial, but it's more like the sacrifices that come along with it, the give and take, like what our previous guest was talking about, having you put the time in. You started from rock bottom. Don't feel entitled, put the effort into it.
Well, and then there's that balance. Go ahead.
And I think the other thing is sometimes, and I heard somebody, I never thought of it this way, but some people, sometimes they don't know, right? You get out there, you work hard. So this guy was wanted to play professional soccer. And so he came from like Canada or something. He was practicing 3 to 4 times a week, 3 to 4 hours a day. And so he was putting it in. He went to play in Europe, in the European leagues. And so he couldn't keep up. And by that time they're older. And he said, well, when I got there, I realized they're practicing 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. And so
he didn't know the price.
Yeah, he didn't know the price. He just thought that this is what they taught him at that level. And then he got somewhere else where there was a higher price that he didn't even realize. And kind of by that time, they were already pretty far ahead of him. I mean, he could have done it, but it would have even been a bigger price, right?
You're right. And then, like Jim's saying, it's not all financial. Yeah. For example, at my age now, a lot of it is the time that I miss out with family. Yeah. I'm here today. And Jim's created this beautiful studio for us, and we have top-notch guests. What's the price? I'm not home with my family. Mm-hmm. My kids are on summer vacation. They want to kick it with me. Still, I cross my fingers. That's you're right. Your wife wants to spend time, and I'm here. And I love being with you guys, but that is a cost. And that's why, for me, coming and paying the price, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to maximize it. When an episode comes out, I look at that episode and go, this is what it cost us to make this episode. We gave up time with our family and friends. I drove an hour. I brought you here, right? Okay, so now there's the price. Let's go spend it appropriately. Share your episode here. Share your episode there. I'm at the point now where any person I meet, I'm not walking away until they know that RobLive exists, the channel. The bank yesterday, my kids are like, oh, man, again. The bank she's got to know that RobLive's on there. I write RobLive, hey, check us out. You can see us on Roku. Constantly promoting because I already know the price I paid. Mm-hmm. And now I want to make it count.
Yep.
So go ahead and tell us, after Susanville, what's the plan for Paul? What happened to you after that?
After Susanville, I kind of was getting in trouble, and my, things happened. So right when I graduated, I started going to college. My mom actually started taking classes with me. That kind of got me into junior college, right? She was taking some business classes.
How cool is that?
And she said, if I get a higher grade, you keep on taking them. If
you just gave me an idea, Paul.
What's that?
I could actually be at Lemoore College sitting next to Jaden, my son, in the same class. I can do that because there's no age restriction.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love that.
He's
too,
like,
right?
Dad, did you do your homework?
I know,
Let me see it.
Yeah.
So she pushed me into it, and that's where I got the majority of my credits. And then, of course, and life can change overnight. So, my parents were always very supportive. They drove, even though they both worked, they'd take time off, support us in our sports. It was me and my 2 other brothers at the time. And at 17, my friend comes into the house when I was getting ready to go to college, and he's like, hey, come on, we got to go. I'm like, why? He said, your parents got in an accident.
What?
Well, my parents got in an accident on their way to work. My mom was taken in that accident. So
oh my God,
that
Paul, I never knew this.
Devastates overnight, kind of your whole life. Now what happens? And so it was chaotic and stuff. And I mean, you can kind of choose to go which way you're going to go.
How did you process it?
I didn't. I I drank. I got in trouble. I wasn't sure what to do. I ended up signing up for. It was the National Guard at the time, but I went to basic training. So I was.
How old were you when you finally?
When I went to basic training, I was like 17 or 18.
Oh, young.
And then, but I was gone for 4 months.
But you lost your mom in high school?
I lost my mom in high school at 17. Man. Well, I just turned 18. So it was October of 1987.
And your brothers, were they older or younger?
They were younger. So my next brother, younger than me, is 2 years younger than me, and the one is 2 years younger than him.
And they're trying to process
and
it too.
Trying to process, yeah. And
man, I'm sorry.
So it was pretty tough. You know, you kind of trying to figure out what you're going to do, work some different jobs. A lot of people, I had a lot of support. At the time you're younger, you don't realize how much support people actually give you, and they're there for you. You're just thinking the world sucks.
What was your dad's role?
He still worked. He worked for the department, and it kind of just split our family up a little bit. And so I think he was trying to figure out too, right? Because he just lost my mom, his wife, and so there was a lot going on. And after we kind of got past that, I ended up getting on with Department of Corrections. He ended up marrying my stepmom, which she's an amazing woman. You know, it's a couple years later. They lived in Visalia. He worked at Corcoran, and I was 20 at that time. And he said, "Hey, come and work for the state." And I said, "I don't want to work for the state. I don't want to do it."
This would be corrections?
Corrections. And it was in the office, and I ended up going and doing it. And that's when I started my career with the Department of Corrections in 1990 at Corcoran. And I worked 30 years, and I retired 6 years ago from that.
30 years?
30 years from
Man, I didn't know it was that long.
Thanks.
That's a long time to stay with one thing.
I retired at 50, so I was very fortunate because...
So you started at 20?
I started at 20.
And stayed the whole time, stayed steady.
And
what was your role with the Department of Corrections? Were you like a correctional?
So I started off as a office assistant, and then I started going as a correctional officer. I'd gotten in trouble, with the law, so I couldn't become a correctional officer at the time. And then one of my bosses told me, "Hey, there's other opportunities." So I went through the business service side of the house, and I promoted to a correctional business manager before I'd retired. I was acting associate warden for 2 years.
Wait, is associate warden like vice principal?
It's kind of like
you're one step below the warden?
Warden runs the operation, runs a prison.
Yeah.
The chief deputy warden runs the operation, like a COO. And then you have associate wardens who do each division. And then you have what's called your department head, so business manager, your captains.
Which one were you?
I was originally correctional business manager, but I had the opportunity to be a associate warden. So I acted for 2 years, passed the test and everything. It just didn't. There was other things that didn't work out, so I didn't get the position permanent. And I decided at one point, I'm like, because I could have worked 5 more years, retired at a higher pay.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, I'm ready to retire. Something bigger's out there. Well, actually, I was frustrated and I retired.
At age 50?
At age 50. And I retired, and it took me probably 3 or 4 years to even figure out. I was like a high school kid trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Next move.
And then I love helping people, and I've always
I wanted to ask real quick, because I never asked you this.
Mm-hmm.
What prison were you at? Were you in Corcoran, or which one did you?
I started out at Corcoran. I transferred back to Susanville to CCC, which is closed down now. And then I came back to Regional Accounting Office, which is still a state department, but it was in Corcoran. Then I went to Wasco, and then Ironwood down in Blythe. And then I transferred back to
Ironwood. Wow.
Yeah, then to Avenel. And then I went to Kern Valley, and that's where I retired from, was Kern Valley in Delano.
And so were you living out there?
No, I lived in Lemoore, Hanford the whole time.
That's quite a commute.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean,
the Blythe one?
The Blythe one, I actually lived. I did move down there for 3 years.
So you lived in Blythe. Yeah, I don't think I ever met anyone from Blythe.
No, there was a lot of people down there, and we were younger. The Colorado River's there. We had boats and jet skis, so it was fun. Drank a lot of beer.
So then, after you retired, right? This is where you're like, okay, my next move. And then is that when I met you?
Yes, after I retired.
So then how did you, and we'll fast forward just to kind of share with the audience that, to me, you're like the master networker. Like, you've learned how to foster relationships and build them into actual opportunities for everyone involved, right? Including the California Robotics that stands right before us. That's another just outcome of your amazing networking abilities. When did you realize that was your gift?
Not until probably about a year and a half ago. I knew I got along with people. I knew I always worked well with people, and I just kind of didn't figure out how it all was put together. And then I realized, because when I was in the department, they say, "Well, you're somebody's kid because you get something that." But then when I realized in the real world, people are like, "That's called building a relationship," and people who build a relationship usually get more opportunities because they have a relationship with people.
Yeah.
And so I started realizing that if I go out there just to make a new friend, just to learn new things, just to meet people, you build relationships. And a relationship doesn't mean I meet Rob today, hey, shake his hand, go, and now I know Rob. I don't know Rob. I met Rob. When I go and have lunch with Rob.
Thank you for making that distinction.
And now when I go to lunch with Rob, when I see him at other events, when I take that time out to meet him, to get to know who he is, that's about building a relationship. That's what networking is.
So between us, how long? 7 years?
For what?
That I've known you and hung out with you and spent time with you?
I've been retired probably, 2016 or 17. So what's that? 8 years now?
8 years. Are we friends?
No, we're family. We're family. We're family.
Jim, I've known 20-something years. Huh,
yeah,
Jim?
for a long time. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, definitely networking is huge. And people don't really understand that. A lot of people don't, because the value in networking. I talked to one of the city managers and we were talking, and she said, Paul, I do more business over meeting with people and having dinner and drinks than I do, out and about, which makes sense, right? When you build a relationship, there's all kind of opportunities that people, they know you, they trust you, they like you, and they know you can do the job. So a lot of times they'll give you the opportunities that sometimes they don't give to other people.
No, you're right. That all falls into the category of, life is not always fair, right? Say, hey, it's the fact that this guy got this position or this opportunity, is contingent strictly upon the fact that so and so knew, he knew a friend of a friend, and that's not fair. And the reality of the world is that is how the world works, right? We tend to, as human beings, lean on and look to those relationships, and that's how things happen.
Well, I think I asked a lot of people this, Rob. If you had, and let's just use monetary, you had $1 million, and you had to do something good in this community, let's say in Kings County, and you had to give that $1 million out, and you had 30 days to do it. Would you give it to somebody you didn't know, even though they were smart and everything, or would you give it to a person you knew? I know this person. I know they could do a lot of good.
You understand their values.
Yep.
Yes.
Who would you give it to?
It's a no-brainer. I'd have to go with the person that I know and trust. In this case, it would go to probably Sheila Taylor.
Yeah.
Because she'd turn it into a top-notch sports youth program for the entire county.
Exactly.
Because you know her heart. Ramon Chavez be another one, because I know he would open up a boxing rink and turn on this new sport to all these kids who need it.
Exactly.
I know them, and I know their hearts, and I know their intentions. I know what they would do with it.
And that's what relationships are, right? And that's again what people don't understand. That's networking. A lot of people just say networking. It's this word that means, we go talk to people. No, networking is building a relationship. It's about getting to know somebody and connecting with them and seeing. And there's some people. I try to think I don't hate people. Sometimes I don't agree with the way they think, but that doesn't mean I have to be their best friend. I could still acknowledge them and respect them. And then some people say, well, they don't respect you, but that's not me. I'm who I am, so I'm still going to respect them.
Yeah, so you're not allowing yourself your behavior to be dictated by
their
what they do. You stand by. That's a good one to learn.
Yeah.
I do have a hard time sometimes around disrespectful people. Jim and I have been in scenarios where we kind of got a bad vibe from someone, right? And we're like, I don't know if we want to work with this.
Well, every year we get a whole handful of kids that we have to learn how to cope with. Right?
You're right.
Yeah, I mean every
180 personalities.
Yeah, 180. Yep.
And so you kind of have to navigate through that. Say, hey, I'm working with all of them for the duration of the school year. And so, like you said, I don't have to allow their behavior to dictate my response, but I rather set the tone and create an environment where, and this is kind of my rule. I don't know what your rule is in the classroom, Jim, but whatever happened between us yesterday stays there. Exactly. It's a clean slate. You're young, you're a kid, you're going to have good days and bad days, and I'm not going to hold anything against you. And this may not be the best way to say it, but I always say, hey, grudges for little kids. I'm a grown adult. You're a young adult. So we're not going to do the whole grudge thing, you know?
And that, that's hard because we're all human and we have pride. Pride kills us because it's like, you know what? I wasn't wrong. I'm not going to say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so that really hurts us. Even though we are adults, we're human. And like I said, we're based on emotions.
Yeah. And both of you can attest to me pulling you aside. Can you believe that, jerk? Right? I've had those moments like, dude, I want nothing to do with that. Relax. Right? So we all have our moments. Yeah. So now you get, you started the networking, and I kind of used to like poke fun at you, but I'm actually impressed by it. Do you know the real number of boards and advisory committees and organizations that you're actually a member of?
I've been a member of several, but probably now I probably 6 or 7
you hear that?
I'm on.
So this is the ones I know. Aria, you're on their committee. You're the treasurer for Reestablishing Stratford. You have business organizations that you're part of. Tulare King's Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We're members, right? And then a couple more advisory boards. How do you balance it all?
California Correctional Supervisors
There we go.
Organization.
That's 5.
William H. Parker, Los Angeles PD Advisory Committee.
6.
And then, I don't know.
And then you represent.
I'm on Lemoore
Rec, yeah. So there's 7.
Commission.
That's not including all the business partnerships he has, right?
What is that one incline? What is that? I'm showing this picture of this robot down here. What is that? What organization are you a part of?
They're called The Future.
The Future.
Now,
yeah.
who's that?
So that they're one of my business partners,
Oh,
and
I
so
see.
we do. So as a business owner, I started consulting. PG Consulting, had no idea what a consultant even was. I just heard the word, and then I realized, because I like to help people, and I did it for free. And people are like, you didn't charge them for that? I said, well, I can. I'm just giving them some advice. And I realized a consultant basically helps people through things, right? And then I started trying to do everything, and somebody says, you don't do everything. You help them through it, and you need to add additional fees. And so as I was learning to be a consultant, I started meeting other people because of networking, and they liked me, and they gave me opportunities. And the robot dog, one of my business partners, Omar Sadak, he's from Southern
Shout
California.
out to Omar. Thank you, Omar.
He had an opportunity with robotics, and he said, hey, let's do this. And so he's going to be, it's a lot bigger because we're working with law enforcement, security, kids programs with schools, because this is just a tool. All the sensors you put on it, whether it's to detect drugs or whether it's to
facial identification,
facial recognition, or checking license plates to see if it's a stolen vehicle.
Yeah.
You can put anything on this dog, and it'd be like putting it on a drone or in a camera. This is just a tool that you put it on. And
so I have some, forgive me, but I have some feedback. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a robotics expert, right? But here's my feedback on the design. Just looking at it right here. Can we give the dog a head? Can we give him a face, a head, something, right?
What's funny is
it's looking down. That's what.
Oh, it does have a face, a head.
Wow.
Is there some eyes and a mouth and a snout?
Well, somebody had put a head on it, and they said it kind of looks kind of even more scary.
Okay.
We're actually working with a company that does. They actually look like humans. They make the skins, I think, for the real babies.
Yeah.
And it's a robotic. So they're good at the skins, but they're not so good at the robotics. So we're working with them to develop more realistic looking things. Right now, I don't know if people are ready for that.
Yeah,
People
you put hair and a head on that thing. That's gonna scare the hell out of somebody.
I'm saying give it a robotic dog head. It looks like a robot head. Because right now, what it reminds me of is, you know how in those movies, right? Michael, hear me out on this one. You know, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or those things. When it's an alien version of us, it never quite has a face or a head. It's just, you know.
You went back to alien.
So this, it's got that alien vibe on the head there, and tentacles are gonna fly out. Give me a regular robot dog, smiley, friendly face for the kids.
And it's coming. I mean, there's so much.
So how are they gonna pet?
Well, that's funny. You should say that, Rob, because a lot of the events I went to with older people as well as younger people, everybody wants to pet it and talk to it.
There's no head. What are they petting?
They pet the body and they pet the top of what would be where the head
Yes.
would be, and then they talk to that.
I'm team Well, I almost said something. I'm team. Let's get the dog ahead.
Right? Yeah. No.
We'll get one for you, Rob. Okay.
Thank you. So, this is what, but to me, this is like a result of networking, because when I talk to Paul, every day's an adventure. He's like, "Hey, check this out. I got this cousin out in Belize, and he raises poison dart frogs. I connected him with the Pentagon." And so now they've got a poison dart bullet that they're going to do together.
Oh my
right?
gosh! Yeah.
And so I forged that deal. And we're going to go meet at Don Pepe's tomorrow and close it. That's the kind of stuff he does. Like, he'll take you and like, here you go.
Well, and that's a good thing. And on the more serious note of that, it's all about connection, right? Sometimes what happens is we have, and I work with law enforcement, I work with criminal justice reform, are two that are far apart. But I work with politicians and I work with communities. And the problem is, a lot of people don't want to talk. They just want to do what they want. For example, criminal justice people don't necessarily like criminal justice reform because they don't understand it. Why are we rehabilitating when we shouldn't be? Rehabilitation people are going, why aren't they giving us an opportunity? Instead of sitting down at the table and saying, how can we do better for our communities? So a lot of times what I help to do is put these people together and try to at least get them to see the other side of you, or at least start off that way. Because if you put people at a table who are different and you put a question out there and then you give them space and stand back and watch the magic happen. And it really happens, because people when they start connecting, then they're like, well, we can do that. Well, we can do this. This is how we can make things better. And that's where the biggest ideas happen.
Yeah. I see that at work with, he's been with us for the last 7 or 8 years, and he always starts conversations with, why can't we? Right? So he opens up these possibilities, because we'll be like, well, we're doing this, and these guys over here are doing that. And then Paul will be like, well, why can't we bring those two together and complement?
So is that his bumper sticker?
Yeah.
Why can't we?
Why can't we?
Well, and another thing with reestablishing Stratford is we always talked about, we're a little organization, did a lot of things in the community. Most of us, 5 or 6, 7 members on the board, did most of the work, but we didn't have a lot of funding. We kind of scraping for the funding, and then we started looking for grants and stuff. Well, grants aren't always as easy to get, and you need different people to help you. Well, we had other organizations. When we started partnering, I said, let's partner with these other organizations. They start getting the grants, and then they give us part of the grants. Now we're getting 25,000 here, 10,000 there, which helps us to do better for the community. And it's because we're partnering with other people, because we all sit down and do something. Again, it amplifies what we do for the community and for each other.
Yeah, I think you were kind of the, pushing us in that direction. So I appreciate you creating that insight for us. What I want to do right now is, Jim and I were teachers. And by the way, you guys check out this channel here, Two Hungry Teachers. We're back at it. So if you want to check out that channel, we'll put a link in today's episode to mention that as well, along with all of Paul's connecting links. But when we talk about, I lost myself trying to push the 200 teachers. No, I think I was going to tell you about this whole idea that networking, right? Mm-hmm. If we had somebody who's watching our channel right now, there's a viewer out there who maybe wants to get started and has been told, hey, if you want your business to grow, if you want an idea to come to fruition, you have to learn how to network. Can you give us your top 5 networking tips? And this is from a guy who's done it, who's positioned to do great things and has been successful.
Well, if I could say one thing really quick, is that I started off in Hanford-Lemoore area. I'm doing consulting, doing my business. Then I started networking and meeting people. And I literally work on an international level now. I'm actually going to
Korea, right?
To Korea at the end of the month, to an international trade show that they're going to cover all expenses to be able to go there and work together. But I never dreamed. I was thinking, okay, maybe I can go to Visalia in the future, maybe California. But now I work with a lot of international businesses and a lot of great partners that support each other because of the networking. And if I would tell people, first of all, look at networking. Again, don't go out there looking. A lot of times we go out there, I want to meet Rob because I want money from Rob. Don't go out there with any intention. Just, hey, I want to make a new friend. I want to meet a new person. I want to learn. Rob has a lot of things.
They can feel your intention, don't you think?
And
like if I'm coming in like, I'm trying to position this guy for a sale, they feel that, and that's kind of slimy.
And so number one is just go out with the intention to make a new friend.
Good intentions.
Realize that networking relationships is the key to making, to growing your business. and then start going. We all network. We don't realize it. We go to birthday parties. We go to our kids' functions. But the problem is, and I went to networking events, and I would sit there, and I'd go, well, I went to 3 networking events. I met nobody. But you know what? There's a couple of mentors who
I can't picture you sitting there.
Oh, I did.
I never saw that.
And there was some of my mentors that they said, get up, walk around, and if nothing else, say, hey, Rob, I'm Paul. So I do consulting. What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? And so it just starts off that conversation, because then you learn, what does Rob do? And you get to meet a new person. And then maybe you have lunch with Rob.
Yeah.
But you have to start that conversation. You can't sit there and expect everybody to come to you, because it won't happen.
Well, you know, one thing that I remember distinctly is we were having an event one time. And, you know, when we do our events, Jim, you've seen there's like 6 or 7 of us doing most of the work. And I remember being up to here with tasks and grabbing things. And I say, hey, Paul, can you go around to each vendor and collect their contact information? Right? And then I kind of forgot I had asked you to do that. Man, you came back with chapters.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, my God, we've unleashed a beast here, and it led to all these partners. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and the reason why, and where I got this from, was when I go to a lot of the events, I would go to get the free stuff, right? You go to these vendor tables, all these people there.
The Costco samples?
You put it all in, and then I take it home to my kids, and they're like, oh my God, Dad, we love this. And then John from Aria, he's the CEO, he said,
Yeah.
we have an opportunity, people here that we have to make phone calls to because we want their services. He walked up and said, hi, I'm John, I'm from Aria. What do you have and how does it work? And they would tell him, and people would love to talk about themselves and their product. So they would tell him, and now he'd get their card, and then some stuff we needed, and we're not calling 100 people, we actually meet the connection in person. But that's how I did it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that basic thing, right? It's pretty basic. I went to all those people, said, hi, I'm Paul, I'm with Reestablishing Stratford. Thank you for coming. Who are you and what do you do? And then they started telling me, I said, can I get your name? Because we'd love to invite you to things in the future.
Yeah.
And they gave me their name, their phone number, everything else, and just connect names and brought them back to you.
I'd like to add something to that, Jim. Add in if you know this one. You make a contact, right? I think there's approximately a 48-hour window that you have to reach back out, because then, you know, it's out of sight, out of mind.
You'll lose them.
You lose them.
Or they'll forget that initial contact with that person, you know.
Because you call 2 weeks later, who?
Yeah.
Where'd we meet at?
Especially if you met at a destination place. Like if you go to Korea and you wait 2 weeks, they're not going to remember you, you know. So, hey, remember me? I was wearing the yellow shirt, you know, whatever it is. And, you know, we hit it off. We had lunch. Remember the beer I bought you? You still owe me $50, you know, whatever.
You know what? I have a new strategy I'm going to try. I'm going to wear the loudest shirt possible.
So they remember you.
Right. And be like, oh, yeah, ugly shirt guy. Yeah. So maybe that's my new trick.
But you do. I think they say it's 24 to 48 hours. You should reach back to
Is
people.
that okay? That's the rule. You guys got that one?
If nothing,
28 to 48 hours.
24 to 48 hours.
What'd I say?
28. So the other thing you do is, and I've never did this, but I'm starting to get better. Is you text somebody whenever you see them, or even if they come to your vendor and say, "Hey, it was nice seeing you today. Thank you. Hope to see you there in the future." It's at least a start, so they're like, "Oh, they remembered me." And the other thing, here's the thing for nonprofits. We ask for donations. It's kind of like that kid, that nephew who comes and says, hey, can you buy cookies? Hey, can you buy candy? You're closing the door saying, don't answer the door because they want me to buy something. We do that to people we want to donate. Hey, can you donate some money? Then we see them next year.
Here
hey, can we donate
again.
some money? But do we ever say, hey, thank you very much. We have these events that came up. I just wanted you to share with you what happened, not ask them for anything, but thank them for what they gave us, show them what we're doing. And then when it comes next year, they're like, my robot went to sleep. Then when it comes to next year, at least they're like, oh, you know what? We want to be a part of what he's doing.
Yeah. Is this robot doing this on its own?
It rebooted.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going into like, use me.
So
okay, so hold on. We got to do this because there's all these gyms in the audience that I know are going to get back to the robot. I came here to see the robot. We got you. Okay, relax. So we're going to get into the robot. So California Robotics is the name of the company.
yes.
What I was excited about when you initially shared about this robot is you kind of gave me some scenarios and how it'll be used. Right? See Michael locking in now? Michael's locking. He's been waiting on this robot thing. Like he didn't listen to my touchy-feely stuff, but I said, Rod, he was.
Yeah.
So anyway, love you, Michael. So the thing is that this is what he told me, and then correct me if I'm wrong. You can take this, and one of the scenarios in law enforcement would be if you're highway patrol, you pull someone over, you send the dog out, right? And the dog, with the right technology, could sense facial recognition to see if you have any felonies, could also detect metal within the car that might be weaponry. And also, you told me this one, but I'm confused about this one. It could sense the presence of narcotics. Is this correct?
So the dog is just like a drone or anything else, camera. It's a tool. And you could put sensors on whatever type of sensors they have. They have metal detectors. They have the ones that just stand up, not the big ones where you walk under. And so you can put that sensory on the dog and it can detect metal. You can put something to smell the drugs because they have sensors that do that.
Okay.
It would be just a sensor that the sensor, not necessarily out of its nose, it would be the sensors on
and
it.
it talks.
So they have them, they're fully autonomous. This one isn't that, but they have them. So they walk around, they actually patrol places themselves. They sit down on a charging pad and then they get up and they map out the whole place. You tell them where you want them to go, and then they alert you if something comes up. Police or whoever can tap into them. You, if you're on vacation, say, what does it see? And you see out of the camera what it sees.
And the camera goes up. Right there.
The camera, yeah, you can make the camera go up and down.
What kind of basic movement would you be able to share with us briefly?
Well, my phone is.
Oh, it's
Yeah, so
it won't move around. Just
it'll move. It'll go back and forth. But it usually like. Oh wait, maybe it won't. Oh, let's shut off.
So Paul, correct me, because I've covered stories where they would send in
the
bomb robot, and they would have a camera on it. I'm trying to visualize an officer sitting in his unit, sending the dog to another car, to then visually get all the information you were saying. Like, is that
so somebody had come up with an idea. Again, it's whatever people can think of, especially since it's so new to us.
Yeah.
In the United States, because other countries already use them for different things. But people said, okay, what if this robot, you make it stop, it's small enough, it comes out of the back of the car, walks up to the window to the other car, it can detect whatever sensors you have on it, drugs or metal. It identifies the person in the car. This is Rob. He has a felony warrant, so now you know, hey, I got to be careful. If they shoot the dog, you buy a new dog, you get them repaired.
Yeah.
They don't shoot a person.
You save a life.
But that's one of the things it could be used for. Now, every agency is different. Everybody has their own beliefs, so it just depends what they want. One of the security guards, like I said, was saying, hey, we find stolen cars all the time. Anytime you have an event, there's always stolen cars. You can have a sensor so you can check the license plate. Delano, I believe, was one of the communities that had I think they had cameras that detect license plate if the car's stolen, the police catch them, and it cut down by a lot the number of stolen cars they had, because people know, I'm not going to go there because I'm not going to take the chance. I'll just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, so it can do. The other thing, and I didn't say, is the kids. So we took it to the schools, to preschools and stuff.
Yeah,
and
took it to our high school.
Yeah,
kids
and
loved
the kids love it. They interact with it. They play with it more like a social activity. We are working with people ask for, hey, does it come to birthday parties? Can it come to the school and do tricks and stuff for people? Because it'll actually stand on its back legs, it stands on its front legs. We actually have one that does a flip. I
think I saw that. That was the one that came to my school, right?
Yeah, it can wave to people. It can do a heart.
I think it had a speaker too for a voice.
Yeah, it can actually talk to people and use ChatGPT, the higher level ones. So it can have a conversation with you using ChatGPT. So it does have a lot, and again, it just depends what you want it to do.
Well, I thought one of the cool ideas that you had shared with me is that you take it out to your local elementary school or kindergarten class, and they kind of play and interact with it, because one of the learning theories is that kids learn through socialization. They learn through play, and these sort of cool, like a dog robot, can inspire or encourage play and interaction. You remember sharing that with me?
Yes. So it's just like anything else. It's like pet therapy is huge, and it's just like a regular dog.
Equine therapy is another one.
Yeah, people will treat it just like a regular dog. They pet it. It actually, people feel like it. What is it called? Emotional support. We used to have what my kids actually had, those Tamagotchis. There was just a little computer thing that they'd have to feed it and stuff at night. That in their mind, it was like a living, breathing baby, right? And that's the same thing with this. It could be emotional support. It can actually encourage social activities where kids may chase it, or it stands on its hands and they try to stand on their hands, and they interact with each other and they just have a fun time. But that leads to all kind of other stuff. Interaction with each other, social support, different types of things.
So in other words, the possibilities are endless.
Yes, depending on what people can come up with.
And you just have to find what fits your niche.
Yeah.
So this is So in your brain, how soon before we actually see these out in the public being utilized?
So I'd say within the next 6 months, because
Wow, I think you say 5 years.
Well, because they're already old, and like I said, other countries are already using them for different things.
Really?
They have.
Is law enforcement in other countries using them?
I'm not sure if the law enforcement is using these ones, but
that's a tough one, huh?
And then it just depends on the laws and stuff. But I know we had a basic one. A year later, they had one that did, it could be move on its own and do stuff. So the technology is going so fast, and right now we're working with other people who have the people who program them and stuff. And so we have one that another programmer has, and they actually put facial recognition on it, and they made it fully autonomous without going through the company to do it because they're programmers. So again,
I had an idea. I think, Jim, you might like this one, right? Because I'm thinking from the lens of a video production or cameraman or filmmaker. You put a GoPro or some sort of camera where the head would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're making a movie and you're trying to share the point of view of a wild animal, this thing is now moving and mimicking the movements, and it's recording everything from the perspective of a wild animal.
Yeah, I think you're a little behind the times there, because they actually mount cameras on real animals.
Oh, they do?
And they put them in the National Geographic, baby. That's all me. But I've seen where they put a camera on a cat.
And it was let the cat go.
It was crazy. This one cat chased another cat in its domain area.
Yeah.
Its territory. And the length that this cat with a camera on it went after this other cat it was running for a long time. So and it got the cat and tore it up. They actually had a fight. But it was just interesting how you put, I don't know if the cameras are now the size of a dime to a pin or whatever, but they put them in the nest. I don't know if you knew of the bald eagle.
Yeah, I did see that one.
Yeah, we were watching that in my class. That was live.
So here's where I was thinking, a controlled environment, right? Because if I put a GoPro on a cougar,
it's gone. Yeah.
How do I know he's gonna go up and perch on the limb and then jump on the actor like I need him to? You get what I'm saying?
I see. Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking. Like, because I obviously know that GoPros but you can't control a wild animal, and there's a lot of laws, and you don't want to abuse them. But if I'm trying to get a controlled, trained action, and I can't, and I don't want to risk my actor getting mauled, I'm going to take something that mimics the cougars, and then I'm going to perch it on a tree, and then it'll jump, and then I could say, action or cut, and it'll stop. A real life cougar, it's like, hey, no, I'm following through. My instincts just kicked in.
So Parker, can you say hi to everybody?
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
And then
how do you know his name?
That's your short right there.
Let's see. He can see. I can't see. I'm old. Oh.
So this is Parker?
Yeah, this is Parker.
Whoa.
So I do a little heart for everybody.
So his wife's name is Miss Parker.
Miss Parker, yeah.
Miss Parker.
Don't say it, Jim.
I'm not. We have two
stand
final.
Oh, can you do that? Can you stand on your hands like that?
No.
Sick. That's what $5,000 gets you.
Let's see.
Wow. You know what? Paul was playing modest earlier. He's like, I'm not very good at this.
No,
then he's going.
Well, they're probably pre-programmed buttons. Yeah.
Yeah. So the kids, my grandson, he's a senior. He goes to school.
Golden Bear. Shout out to Ben.
I had him run it at one of the events, and within
was he the one running it at graduation?
Yeah. No. Chris was running it.
Oh, because he was graduating.
Yeah. So,
sorry.
But he in 5 minutes he had to do more than I can do. He still can. I'm like, hey, how do I work this thing? But it's a controller like the kids use nowadays for the PS,
Can you hold up the controller so the camera can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
It actually works with the phone or a iPad.
Yeah.
And then again, they have voice commands if you program it. I just haven't programmed it yet.
Do you happen to have a certain type of phone?
I use an iPhone. I assume iPhone, iPad.
But it's
I'm not-
universal.
Yeah.
I could put a Android or anything on there.
I believe, but I am not the technical
It's
person.
similar to probably a drone or something you just program through with your phone. So
Wow.
that is crazy.
Does make me a little nervous.
It does.
It's like, wow, that's heavy.
So right now there's a video going viral where they had in Japan, I think, a humanoid type of
which you guys do
AI,
as well, right?
robot that just lost control and they couldn't stop its arms, and it was like going to break your arm if you try to stop. They couldn't. It had to fall. It fell down, and I mean, these are expensive toys, but but yeah, it was like, it was going crazy, and the whole joke meme was, this is what they're going to do to us when they want to get rid of us. But
it's iRobot.
yeah. So
oh wait, can you do that one more time, Michael? You missed this. Check this out.
check this out,
What's
Mike.
that? Do which one?
Whatever.
The handstand.
The handstand or the
handstand?
This was cool.
Which one was it?
No pressure here, Paul.
I know. That's what they did to me the other day. They're like, "Hey, right there."
Wow.
So he can, and then he does. Yeah, my grandson's really good at this, but it's funny. I saw this guy that was.
He says hello, huh? Do the one where he sits up like.
Give you a heart.
Yeah, the one that does like the sits up and waves. You're just like, oh, he's saying hello right now.
Oh, he can do that. Oh, show heart. There's a heart. There's a heart one right
Let's
there.
see.
Makes you a little heart.
Nice.
So I was at the graduation for one of the colleges, and so there's this gentleman. He was about 65, and he was looking at it, and we were playing around with the dog, and so I had the dog wave to him, and he was all serious. He looks around, and he waves back to the dog, and then he pets it, and then he looked around, he backed up before him. So people actually interact with them, talk to them, pet them. But I guess like some of the some of the counselors that I've talked to said that's just the way people are. They in their mind it's real, and it can be like, that's why it could be emotional support. It has the same effect as a regular dog, not to everybody necessarily, but there's a lot of people, your mind just, that's the way it
Animal
works.
therapy, right?
Yep, animal therapy is huge right now.
Yeah, no, as soon as it started moving, in my brain, it was redefined immediately. Like, oh, it's living.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for it to break something, right? It's like, you know,
See, Jim has a different perspective because he has everything at risk. Like he's got these cameras.
That's why I'm only doing the basics.
Well, no, Paul has the controller, so I'm nervous because you don't know what he's going to do.
I'm with you.
Does he know how to make it?
I'm equally nervous.
That's why I'm being real conservative, because I'm not good. My grandson can make it like do everything real precise.
Right, yeah.
But I'm like, that's all I need to do is drop something.
Well,
or run
my big concern is I saw, I saw this rapper guy who, it's not Lil Wayne, it was another rapper who bought a $1.something million robot, and it came to the box. Oh no, it was way up there. It was a high number.
Yeah.
And the first thing they did was knock it down. They kept kicking it, pushing it, knocking it down, and it got back up. It was trying to see the balance, to see if it could really be pushed.
So when it stands on its hands or anything, it has, what is it called, AI. So the guys from the company actually kick it and knock it. I'm afraid to do all that, but they kick it pretty hard, and it'll catch itself, and it learns to absorb the kick next time. And even if it falls down, it jumps back up because of the AI. It learns.
And going back to what you were saying, Rob,
picture of that.
Going back to what you were saying, as far as when you see people do that, you have that weird, because they were doing it to a robot, right?
Yeah.
But you pity the robot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're like,
you do.
hey.
You're like watching them thinking, oh, that's brutal, man. You just totally hit him on the back of the head to knock him down.
Yeah.
It's a robot, but you're like, that. You just see the human, perspective of picking on somebody, and even though it's a robot, our nature is like, oh, well, I got to bully this robot to make sure it knows how to do it. So, yeah.
And that's funny because we went to an event and they were doing that kicking in and stuff just to show it can catch itself. And if it does happen to fall, it'll get back up, because the old one just falls down and it's broke. You got to reset it. But the kids were like, oh, stop that. And I was like, oh, man, I'm glad I'm not kicking it. But
Don't hurt the road. And then it fits into a nice little box, right?
Yep, just like
I
a
can see the
suitcase.
one over here, right?
Yeah.
Michael, can you do me a huge favor? Can you roll the box just in camera sight so we can see? It's that box right there. Looks like luggage.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you very much, so that we can see.
So our assistant, Michael Chance.
I appreciate Michael Chance.
There you go.
And now they're going to get me for putting the robot in a case, right?
Yeah, like what? Hey, how can it breathe in there?
Yes.
Right? No, yeah. So thank you so much for this. Thank you for everything you're doing. I'm excited. You know, we spent a ride up here together, and everything you shared is the next possibility, right? So right now, it feels like that moment. It was the American Music Awards one year, and Jamie Foxx walked up to some kid who was sitting in the front row, right? And he was like, "Hey, Drake, man, Drake. Hey, you guys wait out, look for that name." And this was like a year before Drake came out, and now he's a household name, right? And so this is my Jamie Foxx moment, although I'm not Jamie Foxx. Paul Gonzalez, remember that name with an S at the end. If you see a robot in California in the next couple of years, if you have any sort of big development happen, that's probably going to be the name behind it. So I called it before it happened.
Can I leave everybody with something? You know what? Amazing things have happened to me in the last year and a half. And you can do it too. Just believe in yourself. So many times we don't believe in ourselves. Believe in yourself no matter what anybody else thinks, and dream big. Don't dream like, oh, I can buy a house. No, you can buy that house by the beach. You can go to different countries. You can own your own island. Dream big. If it doesn't scare you, it's not a big dream, but you can make anything happen. Go out there, help people, and I guarantee you life is going to be great.
Wow. Man, that was... I have nothing else to that. We're going to end it on that right now. And I want, again, if you love what Paul shared, if you enjoy his wisdom, you love his insight, we'll share some links in the description. But also subscribe and like to RobLive, because Jim and I are doing our best to bring you information and great things that you guys can all walk away with, right? Again, we're on CMAC. You can see us everywhere. We're going to give all the links to where you can find us now. And hopefully that audience grows for us. Until next time, from Jim, Chance, and Rob Izquierdo, we have Paul Gonzalez saying love, peace, and chicken grease. We out.
Thank you.